Everybody being just me so far, but this will be on YouTube eventually. Let's see. Sound is good. Let's see. Okay. Today, one of the projects we're going to work on is this DevBetter website. So, DevBetter is a group coaching thing that I've got going with about 10 or 12 developers, answering questions, helping work on making them better developers, and in some cases consultants, in some cases employees. If that's something interesting to you and you want to learn how to get better, feel free to check it out. There's some testimonials at the bottom. One of the things first thing I'm going to work on is a pull request here that just adds a simple feature to this. So we'll look at that. I haven't actually looked at it yet at all, so we'll see how it looks. And then clean architecture is sort of a solution template that I've got out there. It's got a bunch of issues, not necessarily literally, but in its GitHub repo, folks have filed a bunch of issues. A few of them are by me, and I want to clean that up because 11 is more than I would like. So I know a few of them I can quickly close, and a few others we'll investigate if there's some code we need to write to fix them up. And then from there, we'll just see what else there is to do. I've got a couple hours, so if you've got any questions or requests or some issue that you filed with one of my things that I haven't gotten to yet, feel free to bug me about it in the chat. Alright, so first let's look at this YouTube thing. So I'm going to pull down this code and run it locally for DevBetter. So let me make sure I've got the latest version here, and we'll run it, and hopefully it runs in the right browser. There's another thing I was going to do, which was add Google Analytics support to it, so I may as well do that while I'm in here also. I'm going to find where the latest Google Analytics code is. Latest Google Analytics tracking tag. Set up the analytics tag. Alright. Okay, so the site launched, but it decided to come over here in this other browser. It's probably my fault because I opened this other browser. But this is it running on localhost. And let's get that out of the way of the chat in case anybody ever wants to chat. If I log in, I should be able to log in as this test account. And that didn't work, did it? How about that? Well, let's see if we can get that work. Hey, John Calloway, how's it going? Let's see. Looking at my logs here, things seem to be working, but it's not showing me as logged in. Route matched this. Select. Check my claims. That all seems to be working alright. Maybe I need to clear my cookies. Nope, definitely just not working. I must have something not configured the way I'm remembering it. It's been a while since I've worked on this project. General Undo, how's it going? Alright, well, let's see. I have some constants in here, maybe. Auth constants. And I have administrators. I have a default password, which I think is working. Somewhere I've got some local seed data that this thing's probably using. There's seed data for videos and questions. Where's my seed data for identity? Maybe context seed, there we go. So there's my demo user that I just logged in with. and I used the default password and it worked. And they're in the role members. And then this admin at test.com also worked, and they're in the role administrators. And so when I come into, I know it works on the real site. You're having a break from coding, so you're just watching someone else code. Alright, that sounds fun. The layout is supposed to show me some links to things, I think. Maybe. Where's the nav? That's all the header. So if the user is authenticated at all, then they should see a members link, which is what I'm not seeing. All right, there should be right up here. There should be a link that says members. If I look at application, look at my cookies for 51815. Got all kinds of cookies here. Let's just nuke all these. Clear those out. Log in again. I did a hard refresh and clear cache. Demo user, that's all I want. I just want to see who I am. So why am I not authenticated? What did I break? So in here, configure services. Should be a configure authentication or identity somewhere. There's auth. That looks good. Default infrastructure module. Registers, all these things. None of those have to do with auth. And there is an ASP.NET Core identity user role membership service. That's all good. How did this break? Angry Bird, how's it going, man? I am trying to figure out why my auth isn't working locally. I can log in. What if I log in with the wrong password? Alright, that fails. That's good. Log in with the right password, it succeeds. But then it doesn't recognize me as authenticated. I've seen this happen before, but I can't remember what the cause was. I gotta go find where I'm setting up auth in services here. Oh, I think I know what it might be. Let's see. I'm not getting any errors though. I'm running in development mode, I think. Let's check that. My launch settings for DevBetter Web, which is what I'm in, are development. 51815. I still haven't found where I'm setting up authentication though. That has to be here somewhere. So if it's not, this isn't going to work. So there's our cookie policy. Where the heck is auth? Because if that's not there, it's just going to be problems. Let me go check here. Let's go out to the code. And let's look at startup history real quick. This will be what I already have. Let's see, open in Get History. Get History is a really nice tool if you haven't seen it. Last time I touched this was April, so it's been a while. So forgive me if I don't know it like the back of my hand. Okay, so where do I have the auth stuff? There's AutoFac, there's some stuff with SendGrid. Bug. Connection strings. Go back into March. February. Where's... Alright, this is just embarrassing that I cannot find where I'm configuring identity and authentication for this hat. I'm sure it's in here because it works in production. I have auth constants, I have auth roles, I have auth seed, I have auth message sending. Is it all under the area? Maybe that's what I'm missing. It's all in the area. I think that's it. I think I recall under area identity hosting startup. There we go. Alright, found it. So this is the magic that I was missing. Alright, so this talks to default connection, adds the identity, configures the cookie. This is what should be making everything work. It uses the IdentityDB context. And my app settings for that are all this local server. Okay. Alright, that still doesn't tell me why it's not working, but at least I found where it's configured. So we add identity. What is keeping this from working? Brendonius, welcome. Get the Nimble Pros crowd going here. Alright, why, for those of you that just joined me, why is it so I can log in successfully, but it doesn't show me as logged in on this app? And it works fine in production, but for some reason it's not working locally. So I can refresh this. Look, I'm not logged in. I can log in, use some default account, log in. Notice it does not add another login cookie, right? So like there's no cookie being added. And hey, I'm not logged in. I can do this all day long and still keep trying to log in, and it'll work. And if I log in with an invalid account, it will stop working. I don't know what it's doing now. Did I kill it? Maybe you need the required confirmation email. You might be right with that. I think you are exactly right. Thank you. Let me go talk to the database real quick. So, kill that, go away. Go away, die. Thank you. I always forget about that. That's what happens when I don't work on this project often enough, is we do have somewhere email confirmation required right there, and that bites me every time. So, see if the login logic works correctly. No, I'm pretty sure it does. I'm 99% certain the issue is this thing here. And if I look in my local database and I go find dev better web app, tables, ASP.NET users I think is what I want, view the data, and it's going to say, hey, admin at test email confirmed true. Okay, that's good. Demo user email confirmed true. Okay, well, I was thinking you were right, because I have been bit by that before, but now it's telling me that those are fine, so that's not it. Let's try running it again, and log in, and we'll log in, and we logged in successfully. And here's my login stuff, right? So it did this command and it says select all this stuff from ASP.NET users for this username, and that should work. And then it went and got my claims. So it's not creating the cookie though. I got my roles. So it's supposed to do all that and then create a cookie that has my claims in it, I would think. And that used to work. So in here, no, that's not the right one. in here, this one. Alright, so it's going to talk to that database. So we know it's loading a user that has already confirmed their email, because confirm email is set to true in here, right there. Okay. Demo user at Microsoft.com, that's this username. Yep. Demo, yep, that's the right one. Alright. Add that. Add default token providers. Configure the application cookie. Can I set the cookie name there? Let's try if we give it a different name. Options.name. Cookie dot name equals, I don't know, dev better auth. Let's try that. Alright, so rebuild. Close this thing down. And run it again. Alright, and then let's look at those cookies. And we'll clear them out. I don't know why. Oh, those are all on this page too. Okay. Clear them out. Go to login. There we go. And just to make it fun, we'll click Remember Me and see if that matters. Log in. Ooh, that changed things. I wonder if the Remember Me button did it. Alright. So there's our dev better auth cookie. That wasn't there before. Alright, let's try this again. Clear this. Go back to this. Log in again. Don't remember me. Well, that worked either way. Alright. So whatever the default name for that cookie was, it wasn't working somehow. Strange. Okay. The only reason I was trying to do all that was because then I can get in here and see, hey Flynn, I can see this list of icons, which are basically links to different social media things. Alright, so if I go to my profile, it'll let me specify all these. And the pull request that I'm wanting to evaluate is to add one more of these. And maybe I should fix this one while I'm here. This is just local data. Twitch.tv. There we go. Save that. Hey, that worked. Alright. So, after a slight delay fiddling around with auth, this seems to work now on localhost. So I can go, I didn't want to do that. I can go back here, go back to my pull request, and let's review this pull request code. So 12 files changed. That's a lot. Member entity is going to store YouTube URL. That's fine. And it'll be on the update info, and it'll be on the update info here. If it's changed, we'll update it. Value change is true. That's following the same pattern everything else has. Down here, there's a migration to add this thing. So it adds the YouTube URL to the member. That's all good. In here, it's still part of the migration. For some reason, GitHub URL, oh, it got capitalized. Okay, that's probably better. This, I don't think belongs there, but I think that was debug stuff, so I think that can probably come out. What page is that on? Questions.cshtml, I have to remember that. Alright, so here we're taking in the form, we're adding the YouTube label and input and validation. That looks fine. In here, we say update links, and we pass in all these things. What is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 URLs. That's a lot. But we'll let it go for now. Not sure why that's not a DTO that contains all those, or a view model that contains all those, but we'll take a look at it. Because it is all on here. Right? This user profile update model has... Oh, I know why. Because the member doesn't know about the update model. So maybe I need a DTO that holds all the links that's separate from member, as like a value object. That might be something to think about. Alright, in program CS, we're messing around with whether or not we're in development mode. I may need to undo that for production. And messing around with ports. And then there's some tests. Okay, so if I review these, if I approve it, it's going to go right into, where are we merging this to? I think I might need to tweak this before I merge it in, but it's on a different GitHub repo. So how can I change this without pulling it into master? I can always have trouble with editing pull requests. So edit or open pull request locally. So this, I always have to look up. Go find the pull request and list the pull request. Click the pull request you'd like to merge. I'm not trying to merge it. I'm trying to check it out. Like to okay, near the bottom, find the command line instructions. Alright, so we're here, we're here, we're here, and I can do this. From your project, check out the new branch, test the changes. So I just need these. Alright? You can't pull the PR as a branch in GitHub. I don't think so. I don't think this shows up as a separate branch, does it? Like if I go into Visual Studio and I look here and I say manage branches, like Rick Hodder has one, but he I think has commit rights. Right? This pull request is off of a fork, and I don't think I see forks here. Right? There might be a plugin for Visual Studio that lets me do it, but I don't think the default Visual Studio gives me that. So I'm going to do it from the command line, because I know that works, even though I can't remember how to do it without looking it up. So we'll open in here, and we'll open up PowerShell there, and then we want to do, what's the first line? Git checkout that, and then git pull that. Alright, that works. So let's see if we can do both those two things. Easy peasy. Okay. So theoretically, we just pulled that out into here. That's good. And I can push that up into my own thing, I think. So let's run this locally. And we're good. We're still logged in. If I go into members, I have to run the migration, so I don't have the YouTube URL. That's fine. So let's go back to PowerShell, and let's see if I have some nice instructions somewhere here for running migrations. Nope. That's okay. I know I can find them on eShop on Web, and I should add them there. But the only migration I need to run is, I'm assuming it was added. I know I saw it in the PR, it was added. So I need to do a .NET EF database update, that line, but I'm going to need to tweak it. So we'll open Notepad, paste this in, and Dephonics, thanks for the follow, how's it going? In here I just need to see what my structure of my paths look like. They all say devbetterweb dot whatever as the folder names. So I need to say update, I'm pretty sure I want it to be called appdb context. Yes. So this catalog context is now appdb context. If you can hear some noise in the background, I apologize. There's folks cutting up concrete in my driveway. And this will be also devbetterweb.infrastructure, and then I'm pretty sure this is devbetterweb. Yep. So then over here, devbetterweb.csproj. Right? Or .web.csproj. Okay, I did have it right. copy all that, and let's try and run it first. This is to update my local database with the correct schema. And all it's doing is adding a YouTube URL. Build failed. Okay, thank you. Tell me why. Oh, I know why. Because I'm running the thing. This is still running, so it's blocking. So close that. Now run it again. Build succeeded. Alright, cool. I still have that in my clipboard, so I'm going to, while I still have it, run over to here. And I like to keep those types of commands inside of my README file. So I'm going to put a link down here. EF migrations commands. And we'll just stick that right there. And this is update app DB context model, like that. And that looks right. So commit that. Good to go. We'll close this up. And let's try and run this locally again. So since we're here, let's just do a .NET run. Figure out what port this ends up on. 51815. So that's the same one. So here I am. I'm still logged in. I should be able to see members. There's me. If I click here, I should see... Well, I don't have it, so I need to go over here and go to my profile, and I should see YouTube. And my YouTube link is something like //youtube.com/Ardalis, I think. If nothing else, that should work. So that's saved, theoretically. And if I go to members, I would like it if there were a YouTube link here, but I don't think that got added. Let's go see if that's actually the right one. Hey, that works. Alright. So, is it this? Nope, that's Twitch. So I need a YouTube icon to add here, but that's okay. I can still accept this PR. So, I think I just want to merge master into this and then do a push to get this up there rather than merging it in GitHub. The other thing is I wanted to look at, let's see, I wanted to look at that exclamation point that didn't need to be there. That was on questions.cshtml. So we come over here, Control T, questions, there we go. That doesn't need to be there. Save that. And then let's go look at startup. We don't want to force startup to be in development. I don't program. I don't want force program to be in development. So that and all that can go away. Equals development, console write line development. Right, that's not going to be good to have in production. So I need to fix that at some point so that it's not necessary to do that. But this needs to stay. Okay. So that's good. And if we go back and look at that pull request, was there anything else in there I didn't like? This was all in program CS. That's all fine. I think we're good. So now if I do a, let's do a fetch. Let's merge master in. How would I do that? How do you merge out of here? Right click? No. Well, I gotta check in my changes. That's something I gotta do. Changes. Maybe surround it with #if debug. It's an option. I like to be able to detect what environment it's running in. and I had that working at one point, but it got broken, and so I was hard coding it. And I need to fix it, but I don't want to fix it right this second because I'm happy to just see if this will work out in production. So this is really just minor cleanup, I think. And if I sync this, will that work? Okay. So having done that, does that mean my changes went here? Yeah, my cleanup didn't show up here. This is on her separate fork. Alright, so where do I go now to merge this? I guess I can manually create a pull request, but there's a pull right there. Create pull request. Okay, what does that do? Nothing opened up when I did this. Twice. Maybe the third time's a charm. Yeah, no. Alright, let's go back here. I did push everything, so if we go to pull requests, it should say, hey, there's that. Alright, let's compare and pull request that. And push that to master. That should work. So, alright, let's do that. So they added that, I cleaned it up. We can wait for a build. I don't want to wait for the build, I'm pretty sure it'll be alright, so we're just going to confirm it. And we'll delete the branch, which is actually my branch, and this is number 109, so I can come over here, and I can close theirs, and say merged via 109, and close that. Alright, and we'll call that done. It should deploy out to where I can test this out in production in a few minutes. But let's shift gears now from that, and let's go to clean architecture. So we'll close all this DevBetter stuff. And let's just start reviewing these things. So clean architecture, if you're not familiar with it, is a solution template that I have for ASP.NET Core projects, and it gives you kind of a starting point to use. I already have it open locally, I think, so I don't need that anymore. And we're done here. Nope, I don't have it open. Alright, so let's take this one. This is my design patterns stuff. And let's just close this down and go find recent projects, clean architecture. And let's make sure we have the latest. See if that actually works. This Visual Studio Git has an annoying tendency to fail silently when it decides to fail. But it looks like it worked, I guess. So let me just run this to show you what it looks like. And so that's clean architecture when it starts up. It has Swagger configured. It has endpoints as well as API controller actions. You can use either style. It has tests. It has some default patterns set up. Hey Simon. Hey, thanks for the follow, Carpy750. Yeah, so let's look at these issues that somebody has filed on this. So over here. Oh, and if you like this thing, give it a star. I'm trying to get it up to 5,000. It's somewhere close. 4.9. Mouse over is not telling me how close. It could be at like 1 away, right? So go give it a star. Let's go look at the issues. So in here, somebody asked about 21 days ago about this test project mode, What is the purpose of the test project mode property on the CS project files for the test projects? I cannot find any documentation on this. Curious what it does. It's a boolean. I have no idea what that is. So either someone else added it or I added it and forgot about it. But let's go look. Test project mode true. 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 Okay. I don't know what those are. Let's go find out where those got added. So we'll go into the tests, go here, and view Git history. There's test project mode. Been there for a while. Looks like Xena M added it in October of last year. What does it do? Well, let's see. Let's go back to this. Let's run all our tests real quick. Oh, you're talking about Git history, Simon Gearing. Git history is here, and if you give it a URL to a GitHub path on the other end of it, so you just go to github.com and then take this path and throw it on there, it'll show you this animated history of that file. It is really nice for looking at the history of something. And then you can add a Chrome plugin. So here, if you click on a file, this open in Git history button, that's there because I have a plugin. So you can find a Git history Chrome plugin, Chrome extension to do that. Alright, what was I doing? In here I was running tests, they all passed. Okay, so since they passed, let's get rid of this test project thing, because I don't know what it does. And let's get rid of it from here. And let's get rid of it from here. Yeah, it is a really nice UX. I agree. And it is a much nicer way to see the commit history than most other options I've seen. So I like it. I use it a lot. Alright, so let's build this again. And I don't know why it's being slow to finish the build, but it did finish. Let's run the tests again. The test project thing shouldn't affect anything in production, right? So running the tests should work. Yeah, so let's just run it just to be extra sure nothing's broken. That seems good. Here's our docs. We can go get all our items, and everything works. So the answer, I think, is that I don't know what it did. Somebody added it. So we get rid of it. So let's go here. Let's create a new branch. Let's call it remove test project mode. Create. Nioashi, how's it going? I haven't seen you in a while. We did that. Let's go over here. Add our changes. What do I do to that? That's not good. One of these files or text files cannot be opened. Okay. Contents of the files are different. Okay. Well, let's just not stage that one. No, wait. Let's do stage these. Stage those. Remove unused property. Commit staged. Alright, now let's go look at to-do item and see what did I change with that. I think I was just messing around with it. Yeah, I don't see anything that doesn't need to be there. Let's just undo those changes. There was nothing. Okay, so we'll sync this. Push that. How is a .cs not a text file? It is. Visual Studio is just stupid. Let's go stop that. Let's go back out to clean architecture where we have pushed my change. It was a dead using that came back. Okay. That should have been something it could have found with a diff for me, but Visual Studio was broken. Niwashi, I'm just working on issues on GitHub projects. We fixed a pull request on Dev Better Web project, and then now we're working on clean architecture. It's got some 11 issues in the backlog. We're going to clean up a few of them. So this one's an easy one. What issue was that? Number 126. Wow, that's a lot of issues. So we're going to fix number 126. Fixes number 126. There we go. Create that. And I'm able to do that in the interest of time. Do it. Delete that branch. That should have auto-closed my issue, which it did. So now down here, I can switch back to master and do a pull. And if we look at one of these tests, it does not have that property anymore. So we're all set. Maybe it's drunk. Yeah, Visual Studio seems to be drunk a lot of the time these days. This is just a question. That's an easy one. It's a NuGet package. Source is here. I already answered that 2 months ago, so close that issue. Alright. Authentication support. This is common. I'm not sure. Maybe it's a different branch. Alright, so I answered this, and it would be, I think I won't fix for now. So I'm going to close this. Although I do have to say that it's not unusual when I'm creating things from this that I want that. So I may change my mind on that later. But for now I'm going to keep this thing simple. It's getting louder, isn't it? You know, like hacking away right above me in the garage. Apologies. Alright. This is definitely just an enhancement. We might take care of this right now, but it'll require writing some custom code to demonstrate how it works. So I'll hold off on that for a second. The result package is another GitHub package of mine. So it's here, and it has a whopping 201 downloads, 890 for the base repo package. But basically it's a generic result type that you can use that gives you whether something was verified or not. Code with Sean. Yeah, you guys were both there last night. I did a user group talk on clean architecture last night, which is part of what's got me thinking about it today to clean up on the stream. Specification package, that I definitely want to do, because every time I do a talk about clean architecture and then I want to show a specification, I end up having to do it from eShop on web. So let's do that. I'm going to assign myself. We'll say it's an enhancement. We'll start working on that soon, but let's go through the rest of these issues real quick. Template doesn't take the project name into consideration when creating a new project. This issue is already logged in Greg's, so at Greg, any update, we'll just ping him and hopefully he'll help out. He's been nice enough to create and maintain a solution template for this. Hey, Tail Learn Code, awesome, thanks for the raid. What were you guys working on? Did Tail Learn Code join? Yeah, he's there. What were you guys doing on your stream? We are working on this clean architecture solution template for Visual Studio to build solutions using the clean architecture structure. Caparino GR, in 2020, do you prefer generic repository pattern or non-generic, or you don't want it at all? It depends. Standard consultant answer. I like the generic repository generally. I have an approach that I kind of like to use, which is on this eShop on web, and we're about to implement it actually in this clean architecture. But if you go out here, And this little plugin here is called Octotree. It gives you a Solution Explorer view in GitHub. It's really nice. You should grab it if you don't have it. Code with Sean is mentioning the treadmill. Yeah. And my bot actually worked to reference it. Nice. Alright, so speaking of repositories, in here, you look in the infrastructure project, you'll find a data folder, and you'll find an EF repository. Notice this is just about the only repository that's in here. There's also this order repository, but that's really just there to prove a point that you can have custom separate repositories. You don't really need it. So this EF repository is like the only repository you need for this. We'll just blow this up a little bigger. And so it's an EF repository of T, where T is a base entity and an aggregate root. So if you're using aggregates in DDD, this gives you a way to enforce that your data access will only work on aggregates, which is nice, because that's a constraint that you want to have if you're using that pattern. In here, we just inject a DB context, and then we have all the methods we need to work with our data. Right? We can do get by ID, list all the things. We can do a list with a specification. That's what we're about to add to clean architecture, so that you can see how that works. But basically, this lets you do any type of query you could think of, with whatever selects and filters and orders and groups and everything else you might want. You can do the same thing with just a count. That one you don't necessarily need in most applications, but it was needed on this one, so it's there as a first-class citizen on the repo. And it has add, update, delete. It even has first as another thing that was needed, so it's been added. And then this one's private. So with something like this, the amount of data access code that you actually have to write goes down dramatically, right? You don't have to create a separate call for or lambda expression or whatever for every different entity or every different API endpoint or every different controller action that's got a view. You almost never have to write any of that stuff. And when you do, it's super reusable. So yeah, I did miss having the ability to go out for drinks after the user group last night. Yeah, so the reusability is in here. If we look at source application core, there's a specifications folder. And so all the different custom queries that you would need are in here. So if you want to get a basket and you make sure that when you load it, you also load its navigation property items, you just do this, right? So give me baskets where ID is basket ID, dot include the items. Similarly, you can say over here, give me the customer's order, and it supports then include, right? So you can chain these includes down to specify that you need to pull in and eager fetch the data off of something that's two joins removed. Thanks for the follow, TR Buzz Borak. And what else do we have? We have paging support. So if we come in here and we look at this paginated specification, to support paging, literally you just say .paginate, skip take, done. That's all you got. So code with Sean, yeah, feel free to promote your user group. That's totally cool. Dan the Dev Man, Octacon 1084, thank you for the follows. I appreciate it. We got a bunch of people here now. Alright, so where were we? We are looking back here at these issues on clean architecture, and this number 117, adding a specification to this package, is what we're going to do here pretty soon. Let's see, I've triaged these things. This one's from my birthday last year. What was I doing here? Use cases, feature folders. Yeah, I should probably look at that, but not right now. That's how it keeps sticking on the backlog. What else we got ahead of that? Somebody wanted some more diagrams and docs. That would be good. This was a question. Did I ever answer it? Fork or suggestion. I'm going to close this because no one's doing anything with it and it's over a year old. Alright, so I don't have any experience with GraphQL. Nobody else has jumped in to share theirs, so I'm going to go ahead and close this for now. Alright, thing about DDD is I can spend a week reading, listening, watching, and another week of hands-on, and I would still have so much to learn. Yeah, I'm still learning all the time, and I've been doing it for a little bit now too. Yes, bot, I already watched it. Alright, let's go back to the issues. You can always watch it again and again and again. That's totally okay too, Sean. Infrastructure registry. Trying to implement infrastructure registry to remove. I think the comment is redundant. Registry is no longer required, so not using structure map. That is true. What we are doing now is, if we go look at our Solution Explorer, I have a module in infrastructure, I think, here. I have an AutoFac module. So let me just do a link to that real quick and close this issue. So we'll go to the code, go to the source, infrastructure, default infrastructure module, copy that, and another issue bites the dust with, we switched to AutoFac, and it has modules like this one. Copy paste, do your thing. There we go. Oh, you have experience with GraphQL. Well, jump in and answer this question, man. Where should it go in a clean architecture, Sean? Alright, template support for Visual Studio on a Mac. I don't know how to do that. Alright, so that's everything. So we're going to work on 117 right now. How are we doing on time? We got about an hour? That should be plenty. So I need a use case for why I would need a specification. So let's go back and run the app. Remember, this app is meant to be just a solution template, not a real application. Most of the stuff in here, I expect you're going to rip it out and replace it with your actual app. So for me to do something with a specification, I would need to have just something that would show me stuff. So this is all the to-do items, but it doesn't say whether or not they're completed. Maybe a specification could be something that would show me whether or not they're completed. That would be easy enough to do. So first we could modify this to show all items. Here, maybe on this Razor page. And then we could do a separate one that shows me just the ones that are still not done. Right? So let's see, we got those two Razor pages, or a view and a Razor page. So let's go here, let's go pages, let's create a branch for adding specification. So new branch, Ardalis, add specification, create. If I had a lot of to-do items, I could even do paging. That would be something. Tail learn code is not actually here. See, he could be multitasking in his meeting. Alright, so we're on this branch. We're going to close everything else. We'll come in here. Let's go find our to-do page right here. Item description. I want to know if these are done. So this would be something like at item dot is done. Not done. Right? Is that how you do a ternary? Would that work? It really doesn't look like that's working. I guess I can do it like an actual if. Alright, that's the Razor page. So if we go back here and we just refresh, is it going to work or do I have to rebuild? I still have to rebuild. Close that down. And oh, it's not going to build at all. That's the problem. What's the matter with you? Okay. Why do I need a semicolon on that? Oh, because I put it in quotes? I want this to be actual HTML. Alright, so do I have to put it on its own line? That works. There's a way to tell Razor that this is meant to be HTML. I can't remember what it is. But telling it it's a span will do the job. And then I could always style it. Like that. Right? Alright, that looks happy now. Cool. Okay, so now we can run it again. And go view items. And that one's done, that one's not done, that one's not done. Alright. Cool. Now we want to go and say, give me a list of ones that are just done. Or just not done. That's what I really want. So if we go here, index, what would you call a list of items still to do? Would you call it to do? Let's copy this. And we'll just call these incomplete. Alright. And incomplete. This model becomes incomplete model. And change the constructor. I really wish constructor were a keyword, so I wouldn't have to do that. Here, this is going to be incomplete to do items. This is incomplete model. That all looks good. And just as it is, I should be able to just run this and it should work just like the other one does. So let's just build it and run it. And there's that. There's that. Alright, so I want to create a link to that as well. So on our main index page, here, nope. Is it a view? Must be a view. Here, ahref, list to do items, index, incomplete list, incomplete to do items. Okay, now we're going to create a specification for this. So we're going to come up here, we're going to add a new folder, call it specifications, and it's weird because a finalized has its own keyword that doesn't reference the class name. I know, right? It's totally not consistent. In here, we're going to add NuGet package Ardalis specification, browse, and we want that, install. Package failed. Detected package downgrade. Really? Oh, specification needs a newer one. Okay. Let's go to our updates. Let's clear that. When you switch tabs here, like if I was here browsing and I searched for something, and then I go to updates, this ought to clear, right? I don't think that should stay a filter when I switch tabs. It's just me. This can definitely be updated. That's kind of old. We may as well update mediator too while we're here. Alright, and now we can search for Ardalis.specification, that again. There's that. We'll install it. And another detected bound. Oh, that's from the unit test. So let's just do configure NuGet packages for solution, consolidate, mediator, everywhere, update that one. Perfect. Alright. John was going to ask about specifications. Well, here's your chance. We're going to try and create one from scratch here. We're also going to need to have our database, our repository support them. So we'll figure out how that works too. So we're going to add a new class. We'll call this completed items specification, make it public, inherit from base specification, and that's not what it's called apparently. Ardalis dot specification dot is it just an interface? I thought I had a base. Pretty sure I have a base. Specification base, specification. Oh, that's it. Alright. To do item. Alright. That should be good. Boom. Right, and then our constructor. There we go. We're going to take in, well, I don't think we need anything here except to just call query dot where item such that item dot is done should be not true. That's it. Alright. Get rid of this. Then we need a way to pass this into our EF repository here. This EF repository is not async. It really ought to be. So that's something else I should fix as well. Get your popcorn ready. Oh, I named this wrong. Sorry. I wanted this to be incomplete items because we're trying to use it here. So good call. General undo. General undo. Let's see, this should be incomplete items. Of course, rename in Visual Studio doesn't rename the file, even though it should. Alright, that's better. Thank you. So I'm going to create one of these in here. So on get async, I'm going to say var spec equals new incomplete items specification. To do items equals repository.list async, and I don't need to pass the type anymore, but I do need, that is async. I guess maybe it was, but I do want to pass the spec. Now, that's not really a thing we support yet, but it will be. Yeah, CodeRush and ReSharper both will do file renames with it. Visual Studio's gotten better, but I mean, they just still haven't gotten around to that one. Alright, list async doesn't do what we needed to do. Okay. So some of these use async, and some of them do not. And some of them await, and some of them do not. Why don't I await on these? Seems odd. I'm just returning the task, and I guess I'm awaiting on it in the caller. Hey, my bot is getting a workout today, just like me. In any case, we need a new interface. I guess it's going to go here, because we need that interface to support the repository. How do I do that in the other one? Let me go see here. If we look in core, interfaces, repository, it just has this. So I think I need essentially that. On the interface, where's the interface? Shared kernel right here. So list async, it's going to be that. Unfortunately, Visual Studio has encountered an unrecoverable error because I pasted some code in. Alright. That's not ideal. The shared kernel needs to have that same dependency, so let's go manage NuGet packages, browse, Ardalis.specification, take that, install that, add here, that. And this could just be a list, and it'll be fine. Typer namespace T. Why is that not working? Is it a different T? Do I have a constraint on it? Base entity? Yeah, maybe I need that constraint. Alright, what's different about this thing, other than the fact that I added this iSpec? That semicolon doesn't go there. Thanks, John Calloway. Still didn't quite do it though. Alright, semicolons are no longer the problem. Visual Studio is just goofed up, so maybe I need to just restart Visual Studio like it's telling me. Let's try that. Okay, so Visual Studio is just... oh, no, there it goes. Still not happy. I think this iSpecification T is referring to a different T than this base entity T. I think that's the problem. So in here, I'm saying this thing is a base entity. And in here, I'm not really. Restart, or I shall taunt you a second time. I know in specification we actually have a repository defined there as well. So let's go look at that. So in here, there's an iRepository base that we could use. Do I need to use that? I don't think I need to. I might need to use this iEntity though. So I need iEntity of TID because specification needs iSpecification, and iSpecification needs... I don't see anything that uses TID. iSpecification of T, iSpecification. There's no constraints on that. The method isn't generic and the class isn't either. Well, this is a list, a task of a list of T. It's identical to this one, right? It's just as generic as that is. The only difference is that it's taking in a type, a generic type. So what I want to be able to do is pass in a generic iSpecification of item and get back a list of item. And in eShop on Web, I have that, but my class is generic. That's what you're trying to tell me. That works because the class is generic, and this one it's not. Simon says we're missing a of T. Oh, that's the where it is. Thank you. There we are. That's the piece I was missing. The method. Alright, and that's what Helpful Stranger was telling me too. Okay. Got it. Thank you, thank you. Alright. Sorted that out. Took longer than it should have. Literally had the exact code I needed right here. But that's what pair programming is good for. Okay. So that built. Interestingly enough, EF repository didn't blow up and tell me that it doesn't implement that, but let's take care of that. Alright, so we'll take this. I don't like putting it down at the bottom. I'm going to go put it next to the other list here. Yellow Cat. I watched your courses on Pluralsight for Solid and Interior. Learned a lot. Thank you. I was wondering if you have any course resource suggestions for learning CQRS and applying it in C#. No. I'm sure there are some, but I don't know off the top of my head what one would be, other than searching myself. Yellow Cat, so I'm sorry I'm not more help, but I have a few books that I've read. There's a good O'Reilly book on microservices that I've been reading, but I don't know of a CQRS course I would recommend on Pluralsight. All right, let's go steal this code from eShop on Web also while we're at it. So over here in source, infrastructure, data, EF repository, specification, this one. Grab that and basically paste it in here, and it should be close. I don't have an apply specification though, so I'll jump down here and steal this as well. It uses an evaluator, and we'll stick that right there. That needs what? Is that the EF package that we put that in? Yeah, that's there. So I need that. So let's steal that using statement, and I'll need to install that package. So here, add that. May as well sort them. Oh, and it removed it. Thank you. I want it there. And then we need to manage EF NuGet packages. Oh, you're welcome, Yellow Cat. Thank you. We need the Ardalis specification EF core. There. Install that and say yes. Right click and it will install it. Where would I right click and install it? Is eShop private? No, eShop's public. This is Microsoft's reference app. Here's the link to it. It's got a whole ebook and everything. How do you not know about this, John Calloway? Yeah, definitely check this out. Tell everybody you know to go use it. There's a book here that they can read that says how it all works. It's like 100 and some pages. It's free. It's also out on the Microsoft Docs. It's a companion to the other eShop things, like eShop on containers and other stuff. It's an official Microsoft thing. I help maintain it as a vendor, but it's their thing. Yeah, you won't find it under Ardalis. Sorry. Alright, so where are we at? Everything blew up, yet again because of T, and that's because in eShop the class is generic, and in here the methods need to be, because I'm doing method genericness. Maybe. Alright, specification results, apply specification. Cannot be used on an async. This thing is supposed to be async. Return await specification result. What type are you? You're just an iQueryable. No, this should work. ToList async. Oh, I didn't put the async here. Alright. There, that's better. So you're happy. You're still not happy. What is this T? Must be a reference type, but it's not constrained. So do I just have to say colon class or colon base entity? That's probably what I need right here. Where T colon base entity. Now you're happy. Alright, I think we're close. Cool. Okay, so what have we got going here? if we look at my incomplete page, I now create this incomplete item specification. So this page doesn't have to know anything about how that query logic works. And we're going to call list async. The repository also doesn't know anything about how that query logic works. Instead, it's all encapsulated in this specification. In this case, it's pretty simple. It's just the item is not done. And it might work. Let's see if this works. So in here, we can say list to do items. And this one is done. Get sample working. Review, run and review, those are both not done. So if we say list the incomplete ones, look at that. Review and run and review, they both show up. Woohoo! I love it when a plan comes together. So now let's just push this. I could write some tests and all that stuff, but first let's get this out there. So we added Ardalis.specification, added, let's see, updated repository to support it, added sample razor page to demonstrate it. That's good. Let's sync it. Push that out. Thanks for the follow parse. Alright, so that's out there now. Let's create a pull request. So we are in clean architecture, pull request, compare, and this was number 117. So we're going to fix number 117. Adding this, fixes number 117. There we go. Great. We'll wait for this build to happen. So while we're waiting on this this build, let's go look at the details. Anybody have any questions about any of this? Ask me anything time. The whole idea with specifications is that you get reusable data query logic. You guys heard that? Nice. That you don't have to store in the repository or let it leak out into other parts of your application, like your controllers, your razor pages, your APIs. So that's the purpose. They're a nice DDD design pattern. They're also a great place to store caching logic. So if you need to compose a caching key, specification usually knows everything that you need for that to work. So it's a good place for that. This thing done? It's done. Pull request. Ardalis. I don't know. That's from 2019. I might need to get rid of that PR. Alright, let's check this. That was good. This needs to just go away, because I'm not using Azure anymore. Azure pipelines. I need to get rid of that. Let's do that. GitHub Actions are so much better. Delete the branch, and we're good. So out here, Azure pipelines YAML. Is there anything I care about in here? No, it's not. I'm going to delete this too. Delete. There's a way to delete this from here, isn't there? I thought I could delete it right from GitHub. Oh, there. Delete the file. Azure pipelines. Delete. Yes. Okay. And some of these aren't going to work anymore. Like code coverage. This is an Azure DevOps test status. That's not going to work. And neither is code coverage. But builds do. That's to Azure too. None of those are going to work. That's fine. That's fine. Let's go and get rid of those. Let's go grab our GitHub Action badge. .NET Core. Create status badge. Default branch. Copy. Go back over here. And we'll stick this in here. And I want that to go somewhere else, like here. So by default, when you add this badge, when you click on it, it actually just takes you to the badge, which is useless. So you need to say, I want this whole thing to link to there. That's better. Commit. And it says .NET Core is passing, and if we click on it, it takes us to the builds. Awesome. Alright. John Calloway, would you create specifications for all queries into the repository? I've been passing in expressions, and that seems icky. Yeah, I usually try and use, if I'm going to use specifications, I'm going to try and use specifications everywhere. So I have created, I've certainly done this in the past. Let me show you. We go to my EF repository. Yeah, here's another one that takes a spec. I have done public async task list t list async filtered. It's not really what I should name it. Where t colon base entity like this, and then we say return db context dot set of t dot where filter expression, right? And then this filter expression is an expression of func of t comma bool filter expression, right? So this is what you're talking about, and this could just be a func of t comma bool. It's better if it's an expression because then it can be it's composed into an expression tree, right? Yeah, you get all this. So I've done this, but this, like you said, if you have specifications, they're just objectively better than this. Right? I mean, there's the downside, you have to actually create a class, but hey, when you have to create a class, you have a bunch of things you have to do, like maybe see if there's already a class and reuse it. That would be good. Maybe come up with a name. Having to come up with a name for that expression oftentimes is very helpful, because now you can refer to it by that name. And that also helps with reuse, because you can look at your list of specifications and decide, hey, is there already a specification that does the right thing? You could write tests against these that don't have to have a database. So I could just have a list of items, and I could run the specification against it and see if it works. Could I do that with an expression? Yeah, but I'd probably have to copy paste it or set it as a constant somewhere. So I guess the long story short, I usually replace these when I see them now with specification, because I just think for any decently sized app, the benefits of the specification outweigh the negatives of having to create those classes. At the end of the day, these Lambda expressions that you write, when you call this thing, they end up living in whatever code is calling it, and that could be anywhere, right? That could be in your application service level, that could be in your UI layer, you could do it from a view, you could do it from anywhere, and it tends to leak that logic all over the place. It's really not terribly different than if you just return back an iQueryable. And if you're to return an iQueryable, then you can do Lambda expressions anywhere you want, which tends to mean that they end up scattered all over your application and they're not in any one place. So, yeah, I would not do that. That's still better, I think, than having a separate method for every different thing and having a separate repository overload for every single one. But then specification is like the next step, right? So, like if I were to rank them, I would say I'm going to have a specification and it just I'm going to have a repository and it's just going to return iQueryable, and that's like, just don't even bother. All your data access logic, all your filtering and everything else is just scattered everywhere then. So a step better than that is I'm going to create repository and have a separate method for every different query, right? Now everything at least is encapsulated in that repository, but it doesn't follow the open close principle, because every time you want to add another one, you got to go in and edit the repository. You got to add it to the interface, you got to add it to the implementation. It's kind of a pain, and it's constantly changing if you've got a lot of custom queries. Once you get to this the filter route, you're kind of back in the wild west of iQueryable, right? It's the same thing, the Lambda expression where you pass in the expression. Then the last step is specification, in my opinion. And so when you get to the specification, now your repository is locked down, right? This repository is very, very rarely ever going to change. And it's the only repository I need for my entire app. Right? I don't need to have a separate custom one for every single entity. Now, anytime I want to write new functionality, I'm doing it with a new class. And that's really where you want to be, right? When you're able to create new functionality for your application by putting it in entirely new classes, you can totally test those classes before you integrate them in. You can also be sure that nothing in the current system cares about those new classes because it didn't know about it yet. So you're not breaking any existing functionality, and you're not touching any existing specifications or repositories or anything else. So you're not going to break any existing functionality from that perspective either, right? It's really a good place to be in when you can add functionality through strictly new classes, I think. On that topic, let me pimp my podcast for a second, even though I haven't done any new episodes in a while. But if you do, let's see, weekly dev tips, new classes. There was an episode I talked about on this. I thought I had one. I don't know. Let's do add new functionality in new class. Maybe it was a newsletter post. Man. I thought I had one. Maybe I'll have to do a new podcast episode. Oh, there it is. Maintain legacy code with new code. So I'm just not searching for the right thing. So it was a long time ago, episode 15. So there. Check that. I don't want to derail too much, but how have you dealt with include then include in a generic repository? We have support for it in specification. So if you go look here, I didn't write it. We had a community member did it. I think Faceni helped. I think it wasn't even him that did all of it. But in here, you can look at sample specs. Any of these talk about include? Yeah, blog with this. So here's a typical blog post model. And so we have a specification for a blog. And you can get that blog including its posts and including the authors of those posts. And that's all baked into the specification. So the code for that is in the evaluator, I want to say. And there's selection. There's criteria for where. Here it is, right? So for each one of these, no, that's order by. It's not include. Where's the include? It's in here somewhere. Maybe it was the EF part. I know it's in here, I'm just not sure where it's done. Query. There's these include aggregators, and then they do it. So I'm not sure where it's at, but it's in the code somewhere. So do you DI iRepository of T into the class that's using it? Yes. So if we go back to our code here, this Razor page, it has an iRepository. A small difference between Clean Architecture's sample and eShop on Web sample is the Clean Architecture sample just uses a single iRepository with generic methods. So if I actually wanted a couple different things on this page that needed to come from a repository, I wouldn't have to inject separate repositories. So just a minor difference, but this thing is not an iRepository of T. It's just an iRepository. But every one of its methods is generic. So when I say, hey, go get me this by ID, I have to tell it what I'm getting. And I can say, go get me a to-do item. And so that's how this is all working. Now in this case, I didn't have to specify it on the list because this specification is strongly typed. And it knows that incomplete item spec, it can infer this generic to-do item from the spec. So I don't have to specify it here on the list async. But if I just did a regular list async, I said var items equals await, repository.listAsync, it's going to tell me, hey, I don't know what this is, right? The type arguments cannot be inferred. So that's where I would have to specify what it's going to be. And in this case, the only type I have in here is to do item. So I would do that, and now it knows. Right now it can tell me this is going to be a list of items. We merged this in, so I can switch back to master now. And I guess we'll stash that, that's fine. Let's get latest. And while we're at it, let's clean up any updates. So let's manage for solution. Simon Gearing, could you make that work with AutoMapper if you were mapping EF entity to a domain object? Currently I have strongly typed classes on named repositories hiding EF and AutoMapper. Hiding it from what? Like my web project doesn't see EF. It does see AutoMapper if I were using AutoMapper, which I don't remember if I am. Let's see, when I do a list, this is going to return a to-do item response. I'm just doing .select, so I'm not auto-mapping. So if I wanted to use AutoMapper, it would be visible here in my endpoints, I suppose. Yeah, these are all going to be manually mapped. I don't think I even have AutoMapper in here, do I? No. So I have Mediator, but not AutoMapper. Could you make it work with AutoMapper if you were mapping EF entity? See, I wouldn't do the mapping, Simon, inside of my repository, because mapping is not a repository responsibility. Mapping is a separate responsibility, and it depends what you're mapping it to. So in my opinion, your repository interface should always be defined in terms of your domain model. And so in this case, these things are all base entities. And base entity is defined here in my shared kernel, which would get pulled out into a NuGet package if this were a real app. And then in my domain model, that's where this base entity lives. And so this is what repositories return, are entities, not view models, not API models, not DTOs, but the actual domain model entity types. Because that's what I want to work with, right? That's where all my logic should live. And then at the end of the day, when my view or my endpoint needs to return back a DTO, because I don't want to pass the domain model over the wire, then I do need to do some type of mapping, right? I need to map to and from those DTOs. All right, what was I doing? I was checking updating. That's not it. Manage for the solution updates. All right, guard clauses, autofact, update those. All right, I think mediator is safe to update. Coverlet, sure. (313) to 317, that shouldn't break anything. Is that all of it? Yeah, let's just do everything. Oh, hold on. Yeah, let's just do these purple ones. Anybody else have any questions? This is pretty mindless update work. You hope it's mindless until everything breaks. A couple more purple 317s. Okay, these are all close. They should not break. So yeah, let's just do them all. Do them all. So I heard a good dad joke from my Pluralsight manager yesterday or this morning, I forget which. So the police are looking for a hacker. They don't know where he is. He just ransomware. Probably easier if you read it. I hear you all laughing or groaning. We'll type it out for people that didn't get it. There we go. Have you played with any C# 9 record types yet? Minimally. I've read about them and I've seen videos of them, but I haven't played with them much myself. I can't even spell. Ransomware. That's better. So not so much. But I am looking forward to them to use for value objects. I think that'll be very helpful. All right, everything seemed to work. Let's run the test. Let's do another quick PR and call this done. We could look at the result type thing next, since I've still got 20 minutes. All right, that worked. Tests are running. Green, green, green. I only have 4 unit tests. That's pretty sad. Let's add a unit test while we're here. Let's test the specification, why don't we? So in here, we have core, we have entities and handlers. Let's add a new folder for specifications. And part of me feels bad doing this because folks are going to have to delete more stuff to use this as their template. But on the other hand, it does kind of show how everything works. So add a class, incomplete specification. So there's my class name, and what does it do? If we look at core, what happened here? Did I not merge it? Or did I not pull it? Maybe the pull failed. Oh, that's what happened. Sure, save this. Do a cleanup script. That's true. Yeah, the template could nuke a bunch of stuff. Alright, let's do a pull for real this time. My specifications aren't there. That's what I'm wondering what's going on here. Output get. The pull would overwrite your local changes. I don't care. Just do it. I said pull. You gave me no indication there was any problem. So I assume you worked. I shouldn't have to go in here and figure out what's going on. This is really one of my least favorite things about Visual Studio. So let's get out of here. Let's go here. And there's that. It asked me if I wanted to stash. I said yes. And then I said get pull, and it still ignored me. So, like, come on. Right, yeah, exactly. Like, I try to use the tools in Visual Studio, trying to be a good Microsoft shill, and it just doesn't work it. Alright, see you, Tony. Have a good weekend. I don't have that much left I'm trying to get done today, so I think you saw all the good parts. Okay, so now we should be able to write a test, right? If we go back up here, there we go. We got specifications, incomplete item specification, constructor. That's what I want. I want incomplete items. There's that. Save it. Rename this. Just needs an S. Okay. I'm going to add a fact. Public void. What should it do? It should filter collection to only return items with is done false, like that. So var items equals new list of to do item. I have a to do item builder. That's cool. I could use. I should totally use auto fixture. The stage and commit thing is perfectly sufficient, but the rest just needs a rewrite so it works like GitHub Desktop. That would be nice. Didn't VS revamp Git in their latest update? Hopefully, but it isn't. All I want is for it to tell me when something goes wrong, right? Dumping it to this output that it doesn't even pop up into focus, and not letting me know that the pool didn't actually do anything, is what I want. It's in the next version. It's got less cruft, but hasn't solved the issues. All right, so maybe if I ran the preview, and I've got the preview build sitting right here side by side, but it was being flaky, so I stopped running it. All right, let's do this. Let's create a new builder. Do I have items? I do have a to-do item builder. Does it let me set whether or not it's done? With default values is fine except for the ID, but I don't care about that. I really don't need a builder for what I'm doing. That's overkill. So let's just do this, and we'll say var item 1 equals new to do item. Var item 2 equals new to do item, and var item 3 equals new to do item, but is done equals true. Which you're not actually going to let me do because you have to call mark complete on it. And that gets perhaps trickier. No, it should be fine. So we'll do that. We'll say item 3 dot mark complete. There we go. There's my list, which takes in item 1, item 2, item 3. And then we'll say var filtered list equals items dot where new incomplete item specification there dot query. How do I get to the thing? Why don't you just one for copy VS Code? Yeah, I know, but unfortunately VS Code's written in like TypeScript and Visual Studio is not, so there's that. Alright, now on the specification, how do I get to the thing? Cache key, order expression, where expressions, there we go. Dot first or default is usually good enough, and it is in this case. So non-invocable cannot be used like a method because you're a property. There we go. Alright, so there's my filtered list. Assert. Why are you not happy? This does not contain definition of where. Well, it does if you include link. Alright, link's right there. List of items does not include a definition of where. Really? Best extension method requires an iQueryable of to-do item. That makes no sense. That's crazy. I shouldn't need to do that. To queryable, I've got link right there. Alright, there's some other issues here. Like it doesn't know what a fact is because I need X unit. List of to-do item does not include where. It's right there. I such that I dot is done. Alright, that works. What is this, first or default? Expression of func of to-do item, comma bool. Where expressions is an IEnumerable of link expression of func of to-do item, kind of bool. So that should work. Not contain a definition for where. Best extension method overload requires a receiver of iQueryable of to-do item. Well, the receiver can be whatever you want. It's a var. What's going on here? We do this in here in our tests. Where's our tests? That should probably get fixed. Where's our filters? Those are all includes. Maybe make the var explicit temporarily, see what's up. Alright. What should this be? An IEnumerable? Maybe just do a .toList on the end of this. Alright, and then this can be a list of item. Maybe it doesn't like that being possibly null? No? Does the where need a func? I guess it does. Alright. I thought maybe it's because it's an actual list and not an iQueryable. I think that's what it was. Alright, so I do need to compile it into an actual func. Thank you, TBD Gamer. Good job. Thanks for the follow, Valco KK. That's how I'm going to pronounce that. Let's see, assert.contains this collection, filtered list. This is where I wish I had fluent validation. Collection, filter, expected type. Alright, so I want this to include item 1 in filtered list. Filtered list. And I want it to include item 2. But not item 3. Let's see if that works. It does. Cool. Alright, that was all we needed. I could probably clean this up a bit if I had more tests, but I think this is the only test I need for now. So we're going to call it a day and do one more pull request. And we'll find somebody we can raid. So create a quick branch. Ardalis, let's see, NuGet upgrades and tests. Let's go here, let's go here, I guess the NuGet upgrades already added somewhere. I don't see them here. Added, unit test. Helpful stranger, it wants a func. You're passing a result of first or default, not the func. Compile must return a func. Yeah, it does. You need to pass the method rather than call it. Pass the method. Which method do I need to pass? So this is an expression of func of t comma bool. Actually, it's an IEnumerable. This is the actual expression of func of t comma bool, and this is the func of t comma bool. Now, where on most link things, but not on lists, will actually work with an expression. So if you do like link to entities or anything with EF, it'll work with an expression. But on a list specifically, it doesn't, and it only works with func. And I always forget that, so this is not the first time this has bitten me. But that's alright. Alright, now where did my updates go? Did I mess those up when I was messing around with the branches? Hopefully those got done. No, look at that. I must have been doing those on the thing when I wasn't able to pull. So let's just redo that work. It seemed like it all worked fine, so this should just be quick and easy now. Dun, 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 dun. Done. Alright, let's try and build one more time. And while we're doing that, well, I guess we're done. No, we're not. Okay, while we're doing that, let's think about who we want to raid. We'll go out and see livecoders.dev. I've got a button for that here. There we go. That doesn't help. That's not what I want. I want twitch.tv/team livecoders. And then quickly hit mute. Let's go hit Ed. That's always good. So go here. Another handy button. And we'll say we're going to raid Ed in a minute. I'm going to finish up what I'm doing. Ed, Char. There he is. Alright, so we're not going to do that just yet, but that's queued up to do. And you guys are going to say thanks, see ya, and all that stuff, but not yet, because I'm not doing it yet. I'm going to do one more push here. Changes, update, NuGet packages, commit, oh, I see what you're saying, Helpful Stranger, thank you. We're going to sync this, we're going to push that. Cool. Alright, now we can go back out to here and find this pull request, add a pull request, NuGet upgrades and tests, NuGet upgrades and tests. Sounds like a good name. Create that. And I'm pretty sure it's going to work. I'm going to just do it. Do it. Cool. And we can delete my branch. And issues, I think we got rid of it. Alright, I didn't get the result package done. Maybe we'll try that another time. Everything else is good. So we got rid of like 6 issues. Did a couple pull requests. Not bad for a day's work. So we're going to go see what Ed's working on. Usually some cool Blazor stuff. And I'll pop over there and say hey. So hang out for a minute. Don't go anywhere. And I'll see you over on Ed's stream in a sec. Thanks everybody. Have a good weekend if I don't see you.